it. Hello, and welcome back to another Sewvember. This is the start of project number 2, where Sewvember is we just sew all Sewvember. That is the plan. It is sewing month. Oh, I have to water my fiddle leaf fig, I think. That is not what we're doing. Today, we are starting project number 2. I don't have as much time as I would like because everything else took forever today. So step 1 is we got to get the pattern ready. So this video, we are making the Shea dress by Chalk and Notch Patterns, and I'm making this out of a duvet cover that I got at Goodwill, which I should get, but you will see it eventually, so I'm not going to go upstairs to go get it. I printed this off at home. There's 10 billion pages. The dress goes from size 0 to 30. I don't have the inches on here. It just talks about, it has the print thing. I printed all the pattern. You know I can't read directions. So yeah, today's goal is to get the pattern taped and cut out in my size and go from there. So let's just hop into this. Let's get sewing. As I'm cutting out this pattern in a very quick way, as you can see through editing magic, let's talk about this duvet. I got this at Goodwill, and to prep it to become basically fabric again, I washed it and then just cut out the seams to turn it into 2 pieces of fabric, the patterned embroidered fabric that you see here, and then just a plain, I'm guessing cotton blend, maroon fabric. So I treating it like fabric just made it, kind of easy. Does that make sense? I don't know. You know I'm terrible at these voiceover things. I can't write scripts. I just read them and I don't actually talk to you. So yeah, that was the only thing that I did differently, I think, than usual fabric sewing, is deconstruct the duvet. I think I was going to keep the buttons, but I did not. Or if I did, I lost them. Anyway, the construction of the dress was super simple. It's a princess seam style bodice, so I am currently just pinning the front bodice to the front sides and then back bodice to the back sides, sewing them together, doing the same thing with the lining, which I have interfaced with like a medium woven iron-on interfacing just to give it a little bit of structure. I really like this interfacing. I just got it at Joann's. I usually just use, it looks like cotton batting almost, kind of like that interfacing, not like a woven. Iron, bud. Anyway, but yeah, I sewed all of those sides together separately, and then eventually, oh god, I'm terrible at voiceovers. And I ironed everything. I pressed all of my seams. Almost every single one of them. I did not press the skirt seams. That's too many seams. It's a skirt. No one's gonna care. I don't need it to lay as flat as like a bodice or anything, but I pressed it using my tailor ham and then connected the lining to the fashion fabric by sewing around the neckline there. After I sewed the neckline down, I did sew the side seams together, right sides together with the lining fabric and the fashion fabric, and then pressed those down as well. And then the bodice was done, and the easy part was over for now. Then we had the sleeves. The sleeves have these little pin tucks in them. This is the first time I've ever done pin tucks, so it was a learning curve. It was also harder than it probably should have been because the fabric had these embroidered flowers and vines all over it, and some of like the leaves had this like tufted velvety feel, so you can't really iron those or sew through them that easily. So that turned out to be a little bit of a challenge. Luckily there were not a lot of them, but I ended up marking the lines where the pin tucks would be, folding the fabric over wrong sides together, ironing that crease, and then sewing along like 1/8 of an inch, I think, or not 3/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch maybe, I don't know, a very small seam allowance to create the pin tuck, and then iron them down so they were all like laying flat against the sleeve. That right there is one of the like velvety tufted leaves that just would not lay flat, and that's fine. Then it was time to sew 1.5 billion tiny little tubes. The sleeves have ties on them, so I had to sew the ties. I had to sew on the like opening bias tape, basically cover onto the sleeve. So I just, yeah. They were so annoying. They were so annoying to sew. Never again. Absolutely never again. But I had to sew them on 3 sides and then flip them inside out with this little loop turner thing, iron them, sew them onto the sleeve cuff, and then sew the cuff onto the sleeve, which was like wrong sides together. So the cuff was inside the sleeve, and then fold it up and like press down one of the sides of the cuff, and then sew the cuff over the raw edges on the right side. It felt so finicky. I don't know if it's because it was such a small circle or what, but it was a nightmare. And I stated that I will never sew cuffs like this ever again. I'm never sewing cuffs like that again. After the sleeves had been finished and sewn onto the bodice, it was gathers time. I sewed 2 lines of gather stitches, which are just the longest stitch I have on my machine with no tension. I did at 1/4 and 1/2 an inch away from the edge on every single piece of the skirt, which had 3 tiers, and each tier had between 3 and 5 pieces. I also serged the edges of all of them because it was a very fraying fabric. And after I did all the gathering and sewed all the pieces together, I realized I did not add a pocket, so I did have to go back and take out one of the seams and add a pocket. And after I put in all my gathering stitches and sewed all the sides, it was time to gather everything down. So I started with tier 1, pinned it to the bodice, right sides together, gathered everything down, sewed everything down, took out the basting stitches for the gathers, and then I ended up just doing like an overlock stitch on my sewing machine because I just could not get my serger to participate nicely. I can't think of the word, work, if you will. After finishing all the sides of the skirt panels, I have to sit down with her. I just did not have the brain space to do it anymore. And this also took forever. Pinning, gathering, pinning, sewing. 3 times. So I did it tier 1 to the bodice, tier 2 to tier 1, and tier 3 to tier 2, which took forever. The dogs were not impressed either. They don't like being upstairs. Audrey did commandeer my pattern as a bed though. And I ended up moving to the floor to gather the final tier because there was just so much fabric. I couldn't do it on the desk anymore. And finally, after all of the gathers, it was time to hem. I folded up the bottom hem a 1/4 inch and then pressed that down and then folded that up again another 1/4 inch and pressed it and sewed that down. So that was my hem. Super easy, super nice. It's like my go-to on straight edges, not like circle skirts or anything, but like rectangle skirt style. It's the easiest way, which also took forever because it was so much skirt. Moving on to the button bands, I also interfaced those with the woven iron-on interfacing. And I sewed like a guideline along both sides and used that to press in that side. I feel like I said side too many times in that sentence. And then I pinned them right sides together with the pressed edge on the outside, if that makes any sense. Doing the button bands was also kind of annoying because you sew on the outside of the fabric and like after you fold the band over, pin it in place, you sew, like you stitch in the ditch along the edge of the button band, catching the back side as you go, which in theory is great, but I did not catch the back end of the button band so many times, so I had to keep going back and redoing it. I also needed to watch like 4 videos on using the buttonhole foot on my machine. I've done it before, but every time I use it, it decides where the buttonhole placement will be. I don't decide that, and I was just so sick of playing guessing games with it, so I tried. I managed to do 2 buttonholes on my machine before it decided no more, can't do. I don't know if it was like the interfacing or part of the embroidery flowers was underneath where I was trying to sew. It just did not want to work. So I ended up hand stitching all of the buttonholes after that with embroidery thread and then just regular sewing thread, because I also ran out of embroidery thread and then my car battery died and I just didn't have any patience left for it. Sewing all the buttonholes really was not that bad. I marked how long I want the buttonhole to be. I used an awl to punch a hole in the fabric, just cut a slit up with scissors the rest of the way, and then use either 2 strands of embroidery thread or 2 strands of regular sewing thread that I've pulled through beeswax to do a mattress stitch around the entirety of the buttonhole. I like the way they look. It does take me a little bit of time to like get back into the swing of it for it to be really neat, but they stand up really well. I like the way they are. I will go back and put fray check in on all the buttonholes eventually. I just did not have any in the house, so I did not do that. And after that, I sewed on the glossy bone buttons and dubbed her finished. So I will see you guys in the reveal to show you how she turned out. Seconds to do a roundup. Hello. Hi, she's done. She's finished. How close am I cutting it? I fly out at 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. I love her. I also just ate a burrito and I still feel so comfy in this dress, so that is a great sign. I love this dress. It was so much fun to go from duvet to dress. That was amazing. I do have a plan to make a skirt. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a button-up gathered skirt with the back fabric, or like the lining fabric of this dress. So I plan to use as much of this fabric as possible. It was just so much fun. I am so happy with it. I do have, I already packed it. It's in the suitcase. Whatever, a brown leather like harness that I want to wear with it, just to give it like a little bit more of like an adventurer's, like she was at the ball and then that's when the Fire Nation attacked and she has to go into battle situation. So I also plan this around getting my hair done. Yes, we just got it dyed. I told her romantic bookshelf, and chef's kiss, Rachel delivers. Hi, Audrey, I know. So yeah, she's done. I love her so much. I will never do these sleeves again. I stand by that. I absolutely adore this dress. This is, I think, a one and done pattern for me. Maybe when this dress dies, I'll make another one. But like the neckline, I'm obsessed. I love like a bosom neckline. Like it's low, but it's not cleavage. But if I had like a corset on, it would just be like, I don't know. We're burrito wasted over here. But yeah, she's done. I love her so much. I can't wait to wear her. I think I'm gonna wear her on Friday to the retreat. That's our longest day, I would say. Yes, thank you, Audrey. Yeah, I'm so excited. And she's got a pocket, which I had to add in myself. She started as a Sewvember. She ended in March. It was not a season for me to be sewing a project a week situation. Maybe if I started earlier. I'm so sorry. She's now squishing her. She's got a little screaming pig toy. I'm also sitting on the carpet, which usually means playtime. But yeah, I'm so happy with this dress. I'm so happy with the way it fits. And I got really nervous because the shoulders were a little tight, but I think they need to be to stay up. Bring it over here then. Oh, I forgot I'm wearing a skirt underneath. I still have my other clothes on. Oh well, that's fine. Yeah, this makes me want to sew a petticoat. Okay, with that, I'm gonna go play with some puppies and have my coffee, edit the rest of this. So thank you so much for coming on this journey of turning a duvet cover into a dress. I hope it inspires you. I was gonna do this big epic fantasy thing outside, but it's raining today. Yesterday was stunning, and I should have done it yesterday, but yeah. All right, thank you so much for joining us here. If you wanna support us elsewhere, you can join our Patreon. For $8 a month, you get an extra little weekly chat behind the scenes and early access to clubs. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, feel free to subscribe. We put out videos 3 times a month, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.